And joining us now to discuss, Milwaukee talk show host Dan O'Donnell plus Project 21 member Whitley Yates. Dan, I'm going to start with you here. Of course, Ben & Jerry's, founded in Burlington, Vermont in 1978, traditionally a very hippie brand. They had an ice cream called Wavy Gravy, Cherry Garcia, fish food. You know, that's part of their brand, and it always has been. But now that they're owned by Unilever, now that we're in this era of if I don't like what a company stands for, and I mean I collectively, I'm not going to buy their products anymore. Is that a big misstep for them?
Well, yeah, I think it is, and they need to take a big scoop of hypocrite chip. Because their plant is very clearly on Abenaki land. I don't think that's really up for debate. And if they want the rest of the United States to give back stolen land, they can certainly spare at least a few gallons of ice cream. With respect to their ownership of a plant in Russia, I'm not so much concerned about that. The thing that gets me, though, is the just shameless virtue signaling in which every brand that prides itself on its strident liberalism seems to need to use the 4th of July to advance itself. Really, all this is about is one thing: capitalism. It's about selling ice cream. And they think if they have a tweet that calls out the United States for its supposed hypocrisy, they'll sell a few more gallons of their red, white, and blue ice cream on the 4th of July.
So why are these companies even getting involved in the politics? Why don't they just stick to what they know and sell their products? Is it not just, we've seen what happens with Bud Light, others that are out there. Do you not think that this is just sort of danger territory at this time?
I do think that it's a dangerous territory, but they're more concerned with social awareness and being socially conscious than they are the stakeholders that have invested within their company. I mean, nobody goes to an ice cream parlor and wants to hear about the social constructs of the world, especially on a holiday. And I think it's very interesting that they would be pointing to someone else's porch when they haven't swept their own porch. And so here you have, once again, another woke corporation that is attempting to bring or highlight atrocities, traumas, etc., perpetuated by other people when they themselves are perpetuating the exact same thing. They're hypocrites. They had Colin Kaepernick on one of their ice creams as well. And I knew at that point in time that Ben & Jerry's was not the brand for me.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm just seeing this breaking. Ben & Jerry's founder, Ben Cohen, was just not long ago questioned by police outside the Department of Justice building in Washington, D.C., where he was protesting the detainment of Julian Assange. That just in the last hour or so. So, again, very on brand with the protests and the traditional hippie ethos on which the brand was founded. But I want to move on to this. Singer and actress Jill Scott performed an anti-American version of the national anthem the other day, of course, Independence Day. Listen to this.
This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
Yeah, Dan, she said there, if you didn't hear it, this is not the land of the free, but the home of the slaves. Good thing she lives in America where we have a First Amendment that allows you to botch the national anthem like that.
She did get paid for that performance, right? Like, she wasn't forced in bondage to sing the national anthem.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, her very existence disproves her ridiculous lyrics. The fact that Jill Scott has been able to make presumably millions of dollars following her dream to be a very well-known and very popular singer disproves the ridiculous grievance mongering that she seems to, again, like Ben & Jerry's, have to get out at the 4th of July. This is not the home of the free. Give me a break, Jill. If you were in almost any other country in the world, you would be doing menial labor. Only here do you have the freedom to sell millions of records. Only here do you have the freedom to go to Hollywood and make movies. The entertainment industry is your freedom. Why are you preaching something that you clearly haven't lived?
Great point. Whitley, final thoughts here before we let everybody go.
Oh, I love Jill Scott so much. This was at the Essence Fest, and I think she was attempting to use this moment to create a message. I don't know if it landed as close to the 4th of July. I'm not going to police her freedom of speech. It wasn't for me, but I think that in essence, she was just attempting to bring awareness to Black people in particular, like I said, at Essence Fest in Louisiana. It wasn't for me, but I love me some Jill Scott music. I do find it interesting that Jill Scott wanted to move to Holland because she was afraid of raising her son here in America. I didn't think that that was the right answer because I don't know if she's ever been to Holland, but you and I all know that she'd probably be a small decimal of the population. There's not a large Black population there. Overall, it wasn't for the 4th of July. It was for Essence Fest in Louisiana. I'm going to let Jill go on that one.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Dan O'Connell. Whitley Yates, appreciate you coming on here and discussing that.